I am the farmer. This is what a farmer in New Jersey looks like. I've been doing this for 43 years, so that's why I look like I do look like. And I'm thrilled to be here. I think I'm a fairly safe candidate because I've been sitting on the Rutgers Climate Adaptation Council for like whatever, how many years it's been there. So they thought it was fairly safe to get a farmer who gets it. So I'm honored to be here and thrilled to be here. Terhune Orchards is located right in the middle of the state, Mercer County, Princeton, right in Princeton. And the name of the game for us is apples. We started 55 years ago. My husband and I decided we couldn't live in the suburbs anymore because it was absolutely boring and horrible. And so this little farm, 55 acres, came up for sale. And we didn't know you weren't supposed to buy a farm for farming. You were supposed to like build a shopping center. But we'd been out of the country, so we bought it. We're going to farm this place. And it sort of has worked out. But what he wanted, so I thought, oh great, we can have like a commune, this house. We'd lived on a little island, and it was like in a grass house, whatever. And he goes, no commune. I'm not going to make decisions about this farming with a committee. So instead of having a commune, I just invited the world to come to Terhune Orchards, and indeed they do come. But here we go. So we bought it 55 years ago, and at that time, there were 3 crops, apples, peaches, and pears. The little store was open 3 months out of the year. We go like, how hard could this possibly be? But then when we borrowed money from like 7 banks, which they kept giving it to us, we kept taking it, and the whole thing got a little bit out of control. So we had to open it up to the public and get things going. There was like, our road is called Cold Soil Road. It's the last rural road in central New Jersey. No one was going down Cold Soil Road. So over time, we built our farmers market and really tried to upgrade everything. There was these gigantic old trees that were there for like 100 years, and no roads and no mechanical anything. Of course, my husband's a scientist, and he's likes to have lots of machinery and stuff, so things kind of progress. So our little store is still a little store, but we expanded out, and the most important part of all farm families is the family. And so we started with our 3 kids, and they had to do the work and figure out stuff and whatever, be proud of their farm, and they all are. And now they're all married and have 9 grandchildren. I believe in promoting your own workforce, and it's very helpful to have them all wear shirts. This 10-year-old grandson has now refused to wear anything but Terhune Orchards outfits so he can go to school and promote the farm, and he can come and buy from his lemonade stand. So it all works out. But as my husband tried to point out to me, that the whole thing is about permanency. And as we move forward with our discussion, and as you all give advice to people, it's not the quick action right now that we need to think about, but it's how it's all going to make sense over the long haul. Those grandkids are going to live on this farm, and they're going to make their family income from this thing, and how is it going to work for them? So we expanded from those 3 crops over time. We bought some more farmland a little bit, and now we farm 185 acres. Luckily, we were able to find some farmland right in the neighborhood, sort of. And we have now gone up to 150 crops, lots of variations on each one. And we're open, of course, every single day of the year. Forget this 3 months out of the year thing. So our little store is packed with stuff. And as we moved forward, we now have a farm market, a bakery, a cider mill, winery, tasting room, and all that, is prosperous and makes money. But I make the money, my husband spends the money, and every once in a while, we need more money. So I go well, how are we going to do that? So we had to do some creative marketing, and basically we had no money to advertise and all that. So I decided to have parties. Why not? Whatever. And this was in the 70s when people didn't invite people onto their farm. You were your farmer, you were in your tractor, you put fences up and stuff like that. So I go like, people come in, and so we started having festivals. And now we have just about a festival every single month, and in the fall we have like a series of 8 farm and harvest festivals. And the number of people that come to our farm now is around 800,000. I say hello to every single one of them, and they all hopefully spend a little money. It all started when we were in the Peace Corps in Micronesia on a little island that was 1 mile long and a half mile wide, had 400 people and us. And it was a totally sustainable place. They had been living there for hundreds of years, maybe even 1,000 years. They sailed the open ocean, they ate fish, they grew taro. It was fantastic. And they all worked together, unbelievably, coming from this country. I was a teacher, and I had to figure out how to teach without competition. They all wanted to answer questions at the same time. No, I'm supposed to get. So it was really an incredible experience. Once we were finished 3 years there, we walked around the world and saw how things happen everywhere. So getting back to New Jersey, we had sort of a worldview of how things go and how people live. So when we bought our farm, we tried to see ourselves as stewards of the land. This was a small farm. We were going to have to make a go of it, and we needed to make every inch pay. The guy we bought the farm from, he inherited it from his wife's family. They didn't care. If it grew, it grew. It didn't. So we're like panicked. So we cut down all the big trees and planted dwarf trees. And over time, though, so we became then also environmentalists, because we thought the environment is really important worldwide, right here. And then we kind of figured out that without a permanent situation, our farm was not going to survive. We were right next to Trenton, the cities all over New Jersey, all kind of pulls and pushes. So my husband was on the State Board of Agriculture at the time, and he wrote the legislation for the Farmland Preservation Program. And in New Jersey, I think many of your states do have some kind of farmland preservation program, but in New Jersey it was absolutely critical. This was the time we were losing farmland by the minute. I mean, shopping centers going up, housing going up, everything's going up. And the farmers just couldn't resist. I mean, if somebody comes and offers you $1 million, you're like, I'm going to Florida. So what this whole thing was, as probably you all know, it's a voluntary program. So they were very insistent that each county had to have a county board that oversaw the program in their county, mapped the county, figured out where the lands were, figured out where viable options of farming could continue. This was critical. It's not just a government program. The farmers were totally involved. And then the citizens voted over and over and over again for bond issues to use to buy the development rights from these farms. And it proved that the citizens in New Jersey wanted farms in their community. It was no question. And now we have actually a permanent funding source for this stuff. And it started, the farmers like, why would I do this? And then as more and more farms participated, using that money that they got to reinvigorate their farms more often than not. And certainly that's what we did. We like our farm to be really crowded. And but you have to have infrastructure to handle all that stuff and things for them to do. And so pick your own became a big deal. Although we planted 27 acres on a new farm, pick your own, in the 80s, and no one wanted to pick their own. And so, well, we picked it and whatever. But now more and more people are really on the farm because when we first started, people had farms in their family. There was Uncle Joe in northern New York State. There was Uncle Harry in Pennsylvania, grandfather and somewhere. But now we are the family farm. And I think you will notice in your areas, the farmers who entertain people, the people who come there. We now have 4 generations of families who come back to get their apples and buy their cider donuts and cider. So we went from being environmentalists to being sustainable, and we really needed to have our farm be sustainable. And of course, it's growing the right things, it's growing in the proper way, and it's selling to people for a high price. And that's what we're all about. We're not competing with ShopRite. We don't care if it's 99 cents at ShopRite, we're gonna be $1.25 or whatever. And then I became a mayor. And that was, my kids were off at college and doing things, I was sort of bored. So I said, okay, I'll do it. But then we had a town meeting and everybody was interested in the environment. And they go like, wow, we need to. So we started a Sustainable Lawrence nonprofit. And we started talking about sustainability and farms and food and farm gardens, schools and things like that. So then I formed a mayor's committee for a green future, and that blew up into Sustainable Jersey, which is a best practices program, certification program for the whole state. You all should do it in your states with your extension and collaboration with municipal governments and whatever, because this is best practices. All the mayors have to, in the green teams, we also said each town has to have a green team. It has to be citizens talking to their government, talking to their residents, coming up with the vision of their town, and they can go on this website and find out how to do anything they would ever want to do to be sustainable. And then we give them points, and they get enough points, we put their mayor's picture in the paper, and everybody loves it. The other thing that happened was we moved from being now we're all sustainable and we're doing great things, but where's climate change fits into this thing? And we're totally panicked about the CO2 and my grandkids. And somebody said, oh, well, we're gonna be dead. Great, you're gonna be dead, but my grandkids are still gonna be alive. Wait a minute, their kids are gonna be alive. I need to make sure that they have a life. And we all are key to the possibilities that will happen. Adaptation and resiliency, we call it sustainability, we can call it whatever you want, but we can't live without food. Bottom line, no matter what you can invent, how much stuff you can put together with sugar and paste that people say is food, it's not food. If you don't eat food that comes out of the ground, you're not healthy. And look at the world, there are starving people everywhere. There's starving people in Trenton. So we need to figure this out for the next next generation, and for the stability of our resources. We now have, from a local newspaper, $126 billion industry, which is agriculture, manufacturing of food products, and the sort of natural food system, not restaurants. So we should be able to go to some of these other businesses and say, listen, you're based on our farms. Your food products say, that people should eat this stuff. You're using my flour, you're using my apples. You contribute to this research, contribute to what we're trying to do, help us promote. And certainly, that may be the end. There is a potential for all of us to work together, and what we found in all my programs, I now have a program called Sea Change Conversation, which is a non-political education program about sea change, which is going ballistic all over the country. So thank you very much.